Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of True Crime Time for Monday, July the 14th, 2025, and I'm Woody Overton.
I'm Cyndi Overton.
So we are just days away from me guest bartending at Walk-On's Friday night in Hammond, Louisiana. Thank you, Walk-On's, for sponsoring our live show, which is Saturday night, July the 19th at Southeastern Louisiana University. And y'all go get your tickets before it's too late. And everybody's so excited it's coming in and everything. It's going to be awesome. The cash bar, y'all, at Southeastern for the alcohol sales, for whatever reason, they can't take cards. So make sure all you lifers that have already got your tickets that you bring cash if you want to indulge in some alcoholic beverages, which I'm going to be doing on stage. And it's going to be awesome.
Yes, it's going to be amazing. And it's only I say only, but $4 beer and $7 mixed drinks.
Yep.
So I think that that's very reasonable this day and age.
Yeah, and the bar is set up right outside the theater, and I'm going to actually do something I've never done before, which is have an intermission in the show, because it's a long and good one, and we'll give everybody a chance to go to the restroom or whatever they want to do. So, but it's going to be fire, and can't wait to see everybody. It's going to be a super great week, and thank you, Home to Suites Hilton and Hammond. Y'all, if you want to get a room, use code RLRC to save a few bucks.
And I know that some of y'all have not used our code. And if you don't use our code, I don't know to make a bag for you. So if you do, when you check in or at some point, try to let them know that you're part of us, or I'm not going to be able to know, to have a bag. And people love the bags.
And like we said, use code RLRC. I think you save like $50 or something. So, and that room block is available for the whole weekend.
Yes.
And we'll be there doing what we do.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get, hashtag Justice for Bradley. Y'all please continue to like and share, and I'll tag everything hashtag Justice for Bradley. We were able to drop 2 episodes last week because stuff is developing, and every time we drop an episode, I get more tips. You can call in your tips. It's at tip line 313-RLRC tip, and that applies to Miss Barbara Blunt's case also. You can remain anonymous, no big deal. And sharing equals tips, y'all. It works. And go follow us on YouTube and TikTok. And congrats to our ticket winners that I drew.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll see y'all at the show. It'll be fire.
Definitely. I'm excited. Someone's coming in now from Minnesota. So we've got
awesome.
A lot of states represented.
Yeah,
I feel like we should have them walk in with flags.
Yeah, right. We do have a bunch of states coming in Minnesota, Wisconsin, a bunch of
Illinois, California, I think.
Yep.
Colorado for sure.
Yep. Going to be fire. Can't wait to see you all. But let's get down
Texas. Sorry.
Let's get down to some true crime time for this Monday.
Okay. Okay, I have a freaky thing that happened in February of 2022. February 24th, exactly, and we're going to Queens, New York. There was a 57-year-old woman named Nina Rothschild, and she's a researcher with the New York Department of Health, and she was headed to Queens, and she was going into the Queens Plaza subway station after work. And as she began walking down the stairs, a man named William Blunt came right behind her with a cane. So I'm sure she's just sitting there thinking this little, whatever. Well, without warning, he pushed her forcefully from behind and sent her tumbled down the steps. And then he began to hit her with a hammer 13 times on her head.
Nice.
And each blow shattered bones and leaving her bleeding on the station floor. He also took her tote bag before he left the scene, He
ran like a little bitch.
And so there was people watching this happen, and they called 911. And Rothschild was rushed to the hospital, and doctors began to examine her, and they found that she had multiple skull fractures, a broken finger, and other injuries. Emergency surgery was performed to remove a damaged bone and reinforce her skull with a titanium mesh. And then police go to do their investigation, and using surveillance footage, police followed Blunt's trail from the subway to a relative's home. And they found inside that home the hammer, her tote, and of course, Blunt's DNA on both the hammer and the cane and like all of it. So in April of 2025, justice was finally brought to him, and a jury convicted Blunt of 2 counts of first-degree assault and robbery plus weapons possession, and though he was acquitted of attempted murder. And then Judge John Zoll wasn't lenient, and it's described as a rare move. He gave the maximum sentence of 25 years to life in prison.
Okay.
Yes. So during sentencing, Rothschild was able to confront the guy, Blunt, who she was able to, obviously we know, but they say that in a very calm but firm voice, she said, most people would just give up their bags. Why on earth did you just come up to me, fracture my skull multiple times with a hammer, and then grab my bag?
That's crazy.
Because people are, especially in New York, they're taught what you teach. Just give it to her.
Right.
Nothing's worth the fight. And so Judge Zoll echoed her strength, calling her survival a miracle and affirming that imposing the maximum sentence was warranted.
That is love from that judge, and we give him good stuff. I mean, I've had a fractured skull, and it sucks, but mine wasn't as fractured as bad as hers was. I can assure you that. So, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people choose their professions and want to be professionals, right?
Yeah.
And I believe if you work in a business workplace, you should behave and act like a professional,
Right.
right? A lot of people don't. It's time for effed up professionals, and it doesn't matter where you work.
Right.
The McDonald's, we're going to McDonald's today,
Okay.
and certainly there are professionals, right? You can be a professional customer service rep or French fryer or whatever. They're the best French fries in the world, by the way. So we're going to go to Michigan and a McDonald's. And, I know a lot of people use McDonald's as a stopping point in their careers and students and stuff like that. But some of them they're career McDonald's employees.
That's right.
And McDonald's takes care of the people. That's why they have 4 million of them. So, but in Michigan, 2 McDonald's employees got into an argument, and the manager saw the argument, told one of them, said, "You know what? Just go on home today.
Cool.
Settle down, and things will be fine." And I guess their way of disciplining. Well, it didn't really work.
Yeah.
Well, it did work for a few minutes because the employee left.
Okay.
And went home.
And got something.
Yep. And got a knife and came back to McDonald's and attacks the coworker that she argued with. But listen to how crazy this is.
This is a female.
Listen to how crazy this is. So the person she was arguing with was actually a manager at McDonald's, right? She came back in and stabbed him. So while they're stabbing them, you can, when you look through the drive-through window, you can see what's going on. There's a customer waiting on their food.
Can you imagine?
Well, listen, there's a customer waiting on the food, and they see what's happening, and they pull out a gun and fired a shot into the air, in an attempt to stop the attack. This you can't make this shit up.
Oh my God.
So the woman who was doing the stabbing tried. He ran like a little bitch. But the customer who fired the shot caught the woman, called her and held her until the cops arrived.
Oh my gosh.
But sadly, the manager, the employee who was stabbed, died at the hospital. And they say the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office will review the case to determine the charges, because there's going to be charges. And I would think that, I don't know what the law is in Michigan, but you go home and you had enough time and forethought to get a knife and come back. And killed him.
Yeah.
So the manager that got killed is not the effed up professional.
No.
It's the professional who got sent home for fighting with the manager.
Yeah.
And just that's what happened at McDonald's.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
I can't imagine sitting, like, being a customer and
it's crazy.
witnessing that. Well, all of it, I can't imagine. I'm going to move this. Okay. Well, I've got another effed up professional.
It's time for effed up professionals.
We're going to go to Connecticut.
All right.
And we have a man named Nicholas Ricciardi, who was a formal 47. He's 47 years old and a former first grade teacher and part-time yoga instructor. So you might think he's full of zen and peace and calm. He was trusted by parents at 2 private schools in Connecticut. But behind that trust, he was basically what you would call grooming them. And he had a very bad pattern of troubling behavior. So while working at St. Gabriel School in Windsor, Connecticut during late 2023, he began what they are describing as crossing boundaries with a 7 to 8 year old student.
Yeah.
He would tickle the child around her neck, waist, and even near a surgical scar. And at one point, he reportedly reached around her shoulder and gently poked her chest. And the girl said, like, she didn't, I don't know how she could say this. She said the behavior wasn't sexual. I don't know if a 7 and 8 year old girl knows. And, but it did make her uncomfortable to the point that she broke down, like crying. And then the student went home. She complained to her parents. The parents reported it. And the officials, like at the school, downplayed the matter. And they assured the parents that Ricciardi was a good man, quote unquote. There was no disciplinary action taken. And he continued teaching through June of 2024. So then he moved to, surprisingly, Solomon Schletter Day School in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Bounce from one to the other.
That's right. And that he moved there in August of 2024. By late November, complaints came in. 4 parents complained. One involving a 6-year-old, and they reported that that he had inappropriately tickled the children and around the belly button and the waist. But the Connecticut Department of Children and Families reviewed the case in December and initially decided no further investigation was needed. The school placed Ricciardi on leave. But yet he returned briefly, only to face another complaint from a teacher who observed the tickling behavior. And then again, they say there was no suggestion of sexual intent. So finally, an arrest comes, and these are the things that happen that lead to the arrest. On January 17th, West Hartford police arrested him for risk of injury to a child and breach of peace, which was a misdemeanor based on the earlier incidents. And then on April 7th, he was arrested again, and this time for the allegations in Windsor, facing similar charges like risk of injury and breach of peace. And then on June 13th, West Hartford police brought new charges after learning that Ricciardi tickled another 8-year-old girl during snack time.
There you go.
And he described it as sneak attacking.
Yeah.
Like, haha, this is, and then, but he was touching now her upper thigh because
Whatever.
he continues to get away with it.
Every one of the touches he's masturbated to, and he's just, like you said, he's grooming, but he's pushing the envelope to see how far he can get away with it.
On July 1, he was arrested yet again on a fourth set of allegations involving risk of injury to a child, accumulating 4 felony counts and 2 misdemeanors across all incidents, and he has $135,000 in bonds.
Did you know the state of Louisiana just enacted a new law? You can now be charged for grooming a child.
That's amazing.
And it's something, but I know where they're coming from the law, and I think it's a wonderful thing. But they're proving it's going to be almost impossible.
Yeah, because everybody grooms different.
Yeah, and then all they got to do is say, "I wasn't doing it in a sexual manner; it's just tickling," and you got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt in court. I think that's going to be very hard. But my hat's off to them for putting that law in there. Shit, it cares like 20 or 30 years, as it should. And there's so many cases. You got to get the kid in for the Child Advocacy Center interview, and they don't really know what grooming is, and they talk about tickling and stuff, and it's almost enough there, but these people, I know they're putting in their spank bank or whatever, but they don't really cross enough of a line for you to charge them.
Yeah.
But some of them, like on that case, you catch them later on down the road.
Well, especially like tickling, because how many times did we tickle our kids as children?
Yeah,
and if your parents are doing it and now this teacher's doing it, you're not going to think, it's not meant sexual unless you intend it to be.
A lot of predators out there that are very intelligent and be getting away, and will always get away with it because they know what lines to cross. And like Denny Perkins. I used to work with him and all that, but 13 years later, it finally caught up with him and all his depravity. So him and his wife and whatever. So let's go to Minnesota. It's time for Family Matters. This is kind of crazy, and I hadn't heard about this story. So I'm kind of skip around a little bit. They had a kid named Jordan Collins Jr. and he went missing. He was at his dad's house, and his dad said that he caught the bus to go back to his mom's house, right? And that's what the mom ended up calling, saying, "Hey, where's he at?" And dad's like, "Oh, he got on the bus. He'll be there." Well, guess what? He never showed up. And this happened on May the 8th of 2025. Well, we suppose it happened on May the 8th, 2025. That's when the dad said that he was on the bus. Yeah. So, and they checked his social media and phone activity, and it stopped around Mother's Day. All right. So he's gone, missing. Cops do what they do. They searching, they looking and doing whatever. And it took 2 months before some human remains were found in a landfill. Well, they did what they do. And 2 months is a long time anywhere. It'd be much worse if it was down here in the heat of South Louisiana. But they were able to identify the boy's body as Jordan Dupree Collins Jr. All right. So then the cops go into overdrive. And because who shows up in a landfill?
Exactly.
Right. So the cops show up on Daddy's doorstep.
Yeah.
And the dad, 38-year-old Jordan Dupree Collins Sr., he ends up later on, and I'll tell you how and why. He's arrested on July the 7th, and he's charged on July the 9th. And according to the criminal complaint, Jordan Collins Sr. stopped communicating with authorities after a May 15th search of his home.
Okay.
So he goes missing, reported missing around May the 8th. They end up searching his house by May the 15th. And guess what they found during the search? They found blood stains in garbage bags in a closet, as well as several knives. So the mom, Mary Berry, she said, "I'm happy about that. I hope he don't get out, and we need justice for Manny. He didn't deserve that at all." I'm sorry, it's his great grandmother, Mary Berry. And she tells the news that Jordan Collins Sr. picked up the boy from her home and brought him to Columbia Heights. And before Mother's Day, she asked when the boy was returning, and his father told her the teen was on the bus headed back to her. And now, of course, we told you that Manny Collins never made it back. However, when she told his father, the older man stopped answering messages, okay? So the boy's mother, who is Ashley Berry, said the last time she talked to her son was around 4 a.m. on May the 8th. And right after his disappearance, she created a GoFundMe account to cover basic needs as she searched for his son. She said, "He's a really good kid, and anybody who's crossed paths with him knows that he's an old soul." So in the same interview that she did with Care 11, she expressed suspicions that Jordan Collins Sr. might have been involved in their son's disappearance. Like the grandmother Mary Berry, she claimed the man suddenly didn't want to talk to anybody, and she called the behavior a red flag. And so on July 1, the Anoka County Sheriff's Office released a statement sharing that human remains had been found the weekend before. And after further testing, the remains were identified as Jordan, or they also call him Manny, Collins Jr. They said, "We wish to express our condolences to his mother, the families, and loved ones during this tragic time." And the sheriff said, "I think the fact that a 4-week search of the landfill illustrates pretty clearly the tenacity of our law enforcement in bringing justice." That's Sheriff Brad Wise. He said, "This is a complex investigation." Can you imagine digging in a landfill for 4 weeks? I mean, it's garbage bags, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he put the body in the landfill.
Right.
They could have dumped it in any dumpster around
yeah.
town. But remember the one case I had, the guy cut up the body and put it in different dumpsters around town and behind daycares, so it smelled like shit, like the baby diapers. But they did a autopsy, y'all. This is fucked up. They did an autopsy, and they determined the cause of death was decapitation by a knife. Your daddy cut your head off.
Your namesake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the cops arrested Jordan Collins Sr., he had a large amount of money on him, and he was also planning to leave the state. So the prosecution charged him quick AF, and so he couldn't get out. And he's got a $2 million bond. And I'm going to follow this.
Yeah.
You don't even hear about this shit like this anymore. It's so commonplace. But that is a effed up family, effed up case, and sad. The little boy got his head cut off by his daddy.
What do you do to get your head cut off by your daddy?
I don't know.
Jeez Louise.
It's time for Worldwide Crime.
We're going to the Bahamas.
Bahamas.
Yes.
Nice but expensive.
Right? There was a woman named Paige Bell, and she was 20 years old. She was actually from South Africa, Johannesburg.
All right.
And she had built a really good life on which is at one point one of our dreams, 142-foot super yacht.
Yeah.
Not the super yacht part, but just living on the water.
We wanted like a 40-foot catamaran with power. Yeah. A little bit old for that now.
It was anchored off of Harbor Island in the Bahamas. and she was known affectionately as the crew's golden girl. And she managed guest relations, and they describe her, she managed the guest relations with radiance and warmth.
So she wasn't the owner of the yacht. She said she made a good life for herself. And said,
Well, living on this 142-foot
she
yacht,
was
I don't
working,
think was too shabby.
She was working on the yacht. You watch those shows.
Below Deck, I love them.
Yeah, Below Deck.
But she was preparing to celebrate her 21st birthday on July 14th of this year. On July 3rd, everything came to a halt. She failed to show up for work, and when no one could reach her, crew members began searching the yacht.
Right.
And the search led them below decks, to the engine room, where they discovered a scene that they just described as extremely violent scene.
Sure, there's blood everywhere.
She was found on the floor, partially clothed, with deep slash wounds to her neck, defensive injuries to her arms, and there was evidence, obviously, that she fought fiercely for her life. Nearby was a 39-year-old engineer, Brigado Munoz, and he was also part of the crew. He was bleeding heavily from what appeared to be self-inflicted cuts. A doctor on board pronounced Page dead on the spot, but Munoz was rushed to the hospital before being arrested. Local police treated the incident as a murder, Munoz facing multiple formal charges after appearing in Nassau court, and the allegations of possible sexual assault, but only right now murder charges have been filed. I know you want to ask.
Does the Bahamas have the death penalty?
Okay, I found this on the web for does the Bahamas have the...
Capital punishment in the Bahamas is a legal punishment and is conducted by hanging at Fox Hill Prison. So there you go. But real quick, I know you're going to finish, but I guarantee you it's sexual in nature. Partially clothed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to kill somebody out of rage, there's no reason to look at their boobs.
Right. A magistrate denied him bail, and his next hearing is going to be on November 20th. And of course, Page's parents flew to the Bahamas immediately to claim their daughter's body and seek justice in a foreign land. I mean, that's got to be scary.
Yeah.
And I mean, it goes on to talk about the GoFundMe page, but the investigation continues in forensic work, and autopsy results and motive are still under scrutiny.
What do you think is the worst form of execution? We need to drop that Patreon episode where I will talk about all the ones in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Y'all have a Patreon or convicts. You will be getting a bonus episode soon.
Yeah, it's been sitting there waiting for me to edit. So, what was what kind of...
What do you think is the worst form of execution?
I would guess hanging.
I was thinking that, but then I don't know if anybody even uses electricity anymore. But that would be my top two.
Shock the shit out of you. Yeah.
I don't want to ride old Sparky, and I don't want to be stressed by the neck.
Yeah. I just feel, yeah.
Well, there you go. So y'all, let's go out to California and the Oakland area and Sacramento area and all that. And I think I've told y'all before when I was on the FBI task force that I was talking to one of the agents, and he told me if there was one crime that he could commit one time and get away with it. So the agent told me if he could do one crime, it would be a bank robbery and get away with it, right? And then I remember in Albany, Louisiana, they robbed a bank on a Friday afternoon, and some of the tellers that worked there at the time were actually lifers, and they got over like, I don't know, close to $500,000 or something. I was like, shit, that little bank. But most people don't know the average bank robbery only nets like $3,000.
Yeah, because I hope that.
And so, but it happens, and they happen all the time, and banks take more and more precautions and all that shit. Well, there's a 22-year-old Oakland woman, and she and some of her pals like to rob banks. And they robbed a string of banks in the Bay Area and Sacramento, according to prosecutors. And her name was Yasmin Charisse Millet. And wait till I'll tell you how much time she got for all these robberies. So she also had co-conspirators, 20-year-old Dontre Jerome Jones Jr., who's 21, and Jomaya Maria Fuchs. And they were all indicted September of last year for these bank robberies, 10 of them. So according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of California, they said that Millet and her co-conspirators committed at least 10 bank robberies in Northern California cities, including Sacramento, Vallejo, Susan City, Benicia, Concord, and Antioch. Now, Millet would recruit others to go into the banks or credit unions with sunglasses, a purse, and a threatening note for the tellers. All right. So on July 17th of 2023, Millet directed Jones and Fuchs to rob a credit union in Susan City while she waited outside in a stolen vehicle. And of course, they did it, and each later, they did it, and they split up the money, right? Otherwise, why do it? So, and they hauled ass, and the next day, a police officer pulled over the stolen vehicle. What kind of fucking idiot robs a bank in a stolen vehicle? No, I would rob it with a stolen vehicle, but you're going to burn it afterwards. Yeah. But anyway, the next day, a cop's on patrol, and they see the stolen vehicle, and they stop it, and Millet is driving it. And when they search, because you get arrested if you're in a stolen fucking vehicle, and then they get to search it, right? And when they searched, they found bait money on Millet's person. And I mean, this fake shit they put in the drawer. Yeah. Not the dye packs, but they have all kinds of different stuff now that they use besides dye packs that show in the movies. But they find the bait money from the robbery in Susan City. And court documents said the officer also found a crumpled demand note on the driver's seat and said, "Don't make eye contact. Don't look suspicious. Don't push the emergency button. Put a smile on your face or I will shoot."
Oh my God.
Like, prisons are full of stupid motherfuckers. They would have still got away with it if she hadn't been driving the same stolen vehicle. Now, if I'm just driving a stolen vehicle, I could say I found it and the keys were in it or whatever. But you got fucking money on you, fake money on you that you know is fake, obviously, or whatever. But that's bad. But your demand note is still in the car.
Yeah,
motherfucker, why not get rid of it?
Because she had done so many, and she was like,
yeah.
I mean, she just got comfortable.
Well, you know what? It's actually not a bad career if you live in California, because the judge sentenced Yasmin Charisse Millet to how much time?
6 months.
10 bank robberies. And now going in and handing over note, they don't have to show a firearm anymore. The teller's going to give the stuff up, but that's still a crime of violence. Even if you don't hit somebody or that you don't show a gun or whatever, you rob them, that is considered a crime of violence. And you do 10 of them. Mm-hmm. And who's to say that it wouldn't have gone sour and the cops showed up and didn't turn to a shootout or whatever? But you did 10 of them where you steal money basically from the federal government, because each account's insured up to like $300K or $250, whatever it is. And you do 10 of them. And the judge sentenced her to 2 years and 4 months. That's a fucking vacation.
Literally.
I mean, let's say, yeah, but we already proven she's not smart, and I don't know if their average take was only $3,000. That's $30,000, and she had to split it with 3 people, so they made $10,000 each.
Well, yes, and the thing with the Springfield Bank is you learned that they had that much money because it was payday for whatever
The
plant,
big
and
plant that was right there.
people, yes,
Yeah.
and
Well, I
so they
mean,
don't
let's
always
say
have that
they got
amount of money.
lucky. Let's say they got lucky, and 2 out of the 10 had more than 3,000. Let's say they had 100,000.
Mhm.
That's still not
Not a bad payday.
not a bad payday for 2 years. If you don't have any skills to pay the bills anyway, right? If you're not you just want to sit on the couch and smoke weed all day,
Mhm.
just gonna get high and go rob a bank.
Mhm.
But there you have it.
Wow.
That's all I got on that one. California, and rob 10 banks and get 2 years.
And then the whole thing's messed up because having people involved with you, like just recruiting various people, that doesn't make sense to me either. If I was going to do a crime, I'd probably do it by myself as much as I could. Because the more that know, the more chance you have of getting caught. I don't know, but I'm not a crimester. So.
All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to do one more. It's time for worldwide crime. We're going to start out in Florida, but we're going to end up in Cuba. And they had a dude named Floyd Dean Devassier, and he's 63 years old. Okay. And he's from Katy, Texas. And I know you know that area well, right? Right outside of Houston. So he goes down, well, first of all, he's got a warrant from Monroe County in Miami. But I'll tell you how he got it. All right. So he goes to Key West and a marina, and he rents a Panga boat, Panga. It's kind of like a sports fishing boat, not a big one, but so he rented it on Tuesday, and he rented it for 2 days. And this, according to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, said the rental agreement stipulated that the vessel was not to be operated at night and was to be returned by the end of the business day Wednesday. Mm-hmm. All right. So when they're investigating this, and I'll get to the crime in a minute, a marina employee told the cops that Devassier bought and filled an extra 20-gallon fuel tank before he left. Right, a little bit of a flag there.
A little bit.
Right, look, 20 gallons of fuel on a boat is a lot.
Yes.
And you know this, we've had boats our entire lives.
Yes.
So, according to the sheriff's office, Devassier told the marina staff he was going to dock the boat overnight at the 6800 block of Front Street on Stock Island. But witnesses who own businesses and boats on Front Street told deputies they never saw the boat, and deputies watched the security footage from the area, which never showed the vehicle. So where, might you ask, was the 63-year-old gentleman? Well, when he didn't bring it back, the marina staff used GPS tracking that showed the boat heading south in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, but the tracking eventually ceased. So, I guess he figured he had a GPS, right? Yeah. So, but a man on his fishing on his boat in the ocean saw the vessel and took photographs of it.
Oh, because it looks like a fish out of water.
I guess, right? And on Wednesday, here we go, place I really want to go to. The Cuban border guard notified the U.S. Department of Homeland Security investigations that they had the boat, Devassier, and a 38-year-old woman in custody. So they said, I want to thank the U.S. Coast Guard, HSI, the Cuban Border Guard, the Good Samaritan on the water for their help and cooperation in bringing this case to a successful conclusion. So basically, he goes and he rents the boat, gets the extra fuel tank, and he hauls ass to Cuba, right? Which is only like 90 miles from the Keys. But where the plot thickens is, and probably Cuba called him a little earlier, the sheriff's office, of course, digs into it, and Devassier has several prior drug-related convictions, including a case in 2019 when he kept another rental boat past its return date and took it to Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine he's
making
drug runs on a rental boat. They're gonna seize it. So what? If you, like your daddy said, if he can get away with it one time, that's a hell of a good lick.
Yeah. And I thought about that statement. It wasn't drugs that he was talking about. He was talking about smuggling in like the human, like
Fuck that. I'd
helping
smuggle drugs.
Yeah.
If I could get away with it one time, and no, but I mean, if I was a criminal, I'd get away with it one time. I'd go get like 100 kilos.
Well, when Dad said that, it was when a majority of the people that were coming in were from Mexico and literally looking for a better life and doing good. It was not the way the world is now. This was 30, 40 years ago that he said that. Completely different time.
I understand. I'm talking about
I know.
profiting. If I could do it, I guess your dad and I, of course, we were peas in a pod,
yes.
But the only cops think about shit like that.
Yeah.
I used to think about if I stop a motherfucker on the interstate and find 100 kilos of cocaine, or I find, let's say, $100 million, because the dope goes east,
mm-hmm.
the money goes west and then
mm-hmm.
south. So I'll stop a guy, and I stopped a lot of people working
mm-hmm.
narcotics on the interstate, and I did recover a lot of cash and stuff. But I used to think about, what if I stop a motherfucker? He's got like $100 million in cash.
Yeah,
you know what I told him? I told him, I said, you find him with a bullet hole, and you find the cop car at the border in Mexico the next morning. $100 million? Nah, I wouldn't do that, y'all. But it's kind of like buying a Powerball ticket. It's fun to think about what you'd do if you were that person.
If you were that person. And you have to think that way to do the job that you do, because you have to look at individuals driving down the road like, Dad, well, if I was thinking that, well, why wouldn't that 61-year-old man be thinking that? If you're thinking that, why wouldn't, whoever be thinking that?
And you can attest to this. When I got a law enforcement, it's now been going on 15 years, every car, I still do it a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
I look at a car and say, oh, they got dope in that
Absolutely.
car, and that car is wrong.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And now gotten away from it. Not gotten away from it. I still, see some, and it's like glaringly obvious, but I'm not looking at it all the time like I used to.
Well, yeah. But what the story also reminded me of is how wonderful water people are. Right? So you're riding in your boat, you're waving at everybody. People know what boats have gone down, whatever canal.
That's
or
crazy.
How they know who's in that slip.
Yeah.
Like they pay attention. Water people pay attention.
This dude's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean just happened to take pictures of a boat going by.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess he figured he was going to Cuba or something. Who knows? Who knows how that all works together? The cops got blessed on that deal, no doubt.
Yeah.
So anyway, the warrant, they got it in Miami because that's where he brought the boat back
Origination.
to. He had no intentions of bringing that boat back to Key West.
No, but he should have stayed in Cuba.
Oh, actually, that's where he didn't bring the boat back to. That's where the Cuban authorities brought it back to Homeland Security Investigation or whatever the fuck they call it. They got so many names now.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So this weekend, and happy day behind birthday to our 15-year-old.
Oh my goodness.
Now 15-year-old, and we're soon to be for real empty nesters. Yes, it's coming.
Let me have my 3 years, please.
You gonna have them? I'm not. It's not whether I'm gonna give them to you or not. I'm just telling you, 3 years is a lot shorter than 15, right? And then be empty nesters.
16 years is a long time, too.
17. It's about to be 18. So, well, love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Y'all, please, 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 hashtag Just for Bradley. And then the reason I'm asking for it, and the reason I got into the TikTok thing recently, is because every time somebody does the hashtag Just for Bradley, it does more views. And the only thing I'm doing is asking for tips and giving like little updates on episodes coming out and stuff like that. And look, holy shit, every week we've gotten tips on Bradley, and look, Morgan Baggett is on my show, and she's telling the story, but Morgan Baggett doesn't know what I know.
Right.
All right. I mean, she knows a lot more than I know in the 6 years, people and being from there and having been married to Bradley and all that. But all the tips that I've gotten, people have called in, and do not be afraid. Some of them I've talked to were like, I don't really want to tell because it sounds like you're on Morgan's side. I'm not on anybody's side. And I am telling Bradley's story, so I get you to call in these tips.
Yeah.
And I totally believe, knock on wood, I totally believe this is so solvable.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on, man. The one last week, the first one, episode 4, where Morgan finally named the one suspect that the eyewitness said was there when Bradley was killed, murdered. And she finally gives his name. And the next day, I get on the phone with him, right? And but now she was told that name, Mr. Charbonneau, by Detective David Vance with the Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office, and that Austin O'Banion, another young lady who's dead, in this case, regardless, she's told that name by Detective Vance. And I have at least one other person that's told me the same thing. And this dude gets on the phone, and if he's telling the truth, and I have to assume he is until I can prove otherwise, that if he's telling the truth, no cop has ever talked to him.
Right.
Ever. About this case. But you got eyewitness that puts you at a murder scene. How in the hell don't you talk to him?
What would you do in that case?
I fucking would have talked to everybody that the girl said was in the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, and then supposedly she passed the polygraph, according to Detective Vance, to Morgan. And according to this guy, the people said that they passed the polygraph. Well, if you bring me in, if I'm stupid enough to take the polygraph, and you bring me in a homicide investigation, you tell me you failed it, I know you're not supposed to go out there and put it on blast that you failed it. You have polygraph, confidentiality. But I'm certainly not going to go back and tell my besties that, I failed it. They would say, I'm going to tell them I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And be like, how'd you do? I'm like, oh, well, I passed them. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, no, I failed it because I murdered somebody.
Yeah. Well, what I meant as Justin, not as the cop, if you were Justin, you knew that your name was being put out by the police, and you knew they hadn't come to talk to you and you hadn't had the opportunity to clear your name, what would you do as Justin? I
did exactly what he did the other day. Let me record him and tell the world. So whether or not he's telling the truth, I mean, like I said, I'm going to believe him unless something else happens. But the fact that no cop has ever talked to me, he could be lying about that, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
All the cops got to do is say, we talked to him. And I know for a fact, and I'm not going to say how because I'm waiting on the blowback from Vernon Parish, but I know for a fact that Detective Vance has mentioned Charbonneau to at least one other person.
Yes.
And I won't tell you how I know for a fact. And then when I say know for a fact, I'm not talking about hearsay.
Right.
So anyway, y'all go follow that series. I just really, 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 really want bring Bradley home for his son Oliver.
That's what I was
for Morgan, all of them. And listen, everybody else that you call, and I keep getting these 337 numbers. I call them my personal phone, which is fine. I don't care. It's out there. Everybody has it. But the tip line is 313-RRC-TIP. But if you call my phone, and I'm not going to answer it. If I don't know who you are, I'm not going to answer it. All right. People call me all day long and leave me a message. One lady called at 2:30 last night, and I didn't answer. It's 337 number, and she left a long, detailed message, and I'm gonna call her back today. And no, she wasn't drunk. You'd think at 2:30 in the morning, obviously this is gonna be some dopehead calling on Bradley's case, but she wasn't. And I will reach back out to everyone, but you got to understand, I'm telling the story and working the case at the same time, and I've got certain things that I'm following on so I can get off of them, and then have to stay on it. But at some point, I'll get to everybody.
But like you also said, that you're not on any. You're not on. I think it's important to stress that you have Morgan as your mouthpiece, right? And she knows the stuff, but you're not necessarily on her side. People need to feel comfortable and trust you that you're going to not share.
Oh,
you don't share.
I'm not seeking confirmational bias of Morgan's stuff.
Right.
But
You are on
I
Bradley's
feel
side,
for Morgan.
Oliver's side.
I believe that Morgan I know Morgan has a passion for this case, 1,000%. Do I believe that all the information she has from other people is correct? No, I don't.
Right.
Do I believe a lot of it is correct? Sure, I do.
Right.
But the Morgan will tell you that I'm not sharing everything with her.
Yeah.
But y'all also got to remember, I'm a podcaster. Like, I got the live show this week and the guest bartending, plus putting out 6 shows, plus working in probably going to be a multiple homicide investigation. And it's just me.
Literally.
I don't have a apartment full of detectives. I'm not in law enforcement anymore. So, but that's enough. Get off of it. Can't wait to see everybody at the live. Go get your tickets. It's going to be a hell of a show, and it's a nice setting, and we're going to have drinks, and everything's going to be good and all that. So go get them, and that's all I've got for today.
Okay, that's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
That's all I got. And so we'll holler at y'all later. And I'm Woody Overton.
I'm Cyndi Overton.
Your host of True Crime Time for this Monday. Peace.